You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Bruner.
And I'm Ralph Hipp. Welcome into the news here on 13. A fire in Lyon County has left a Kansan dead.
KVOE Radio in Emporia reports that a neighbor noticed smoke around 9:30 yesterday morning coming from a house at 209 West Maple Avenue in Hartford and called 911. Crews from Emporia, Neosho Rapids, and Olpe worked for nearly 3 hours to get the blaze under control. Officials say the identity of the person who was killed is being withheld pending family notification. The official cause of that fire also remains under investigation. A dog that was lost after saving his family from their burning home is back with the family tonight. The Topeka Fire Department says about 3 yesterday morning, Duke, a German short-haired pointer, kept barking. It alerted his family that their house on Edgewater Terrace was on fire. The family escaped, one of them taken to the hospital to be treated for smoke inhalation, but Duke ran off. Stephanie Avila and her search hound headed out to help bring Duke back home. They were searching near Crestview Park until a viewer called 13 News to say they spotted Duke in the 19th and Crest area. We called the searchers who headed over there, and around 6 last night, you can see they were able to corral Duke and reunite him with his family. The Topeka Fire Department determined the cause of that fire was electrical.
A Manhattan home daycare has its license suspended for items the state says were a substantial threat to the children's health or safety. KDHE suspended the license of Lorene Marie Willie Daycare on Church Avenue last week. The investigators' report shows a 3-month-old was allowed to sleep in a car seat, that the child also woke up in a playpen, and that Willie didn't attend to that child. The report goes on to say cleaning supplies and a lawnmower were found in the children's play area. Willie has 15 days to file a petition for reconsideration. If that petition is denied, she would have 30 days to file for a judicial review. Doesn't get much lovelier as Melissa Bruner is back from the Pacific here in Northeast Kansas. Fabulous weather this Monday.
The weather is fantastic, but a lot of people keeping an eye on Wednesday. It is Veterans Day.
Right.
A lot of outdoor activities are planned to honor those who've served our nation. Jeremy Goodwin, you're keeping an eye on the weather. Maybe some inside backup plans may be in order.
Hi, Ralph, Melissa. Kind of the worst case here would be if the severe weather were to hit northeast Kansas in the late morning or early afternoon. Even if that doesn't play out, this storm is strong enough that the winds behind it should be 30 to 45 miles per hour through the late morning, afternoon, even the evening will be very windy on Wednesday, so be prepared for that. That's Veterans Day, of course. Outside right now, clear, calm. That view from Emporia, the Emporia Cam provided by Value Net. No risks out there this evening of any dangerous weather. Temperatures are cool at 53 in Topeka. Concordia has 60, but as we get into Wednesday, we're going to see that strong breeze coming in with a powerful cold front. The risk of severe storms is mainly in the morning, and in the afternoon, watch the north wind start to develop, and they'll be gusting at times as high as 35 to 40 miles per hour with some snow in western Kansas. But over here should just be rain and cold wind. I'll have your complete 8-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Jeremy. Randy Rydens, the man accused of helping the man escape, the man who shot and killed a Topeka police corporal, has now pleaded guilty. Randy Rydens entering the guilty plea in Shawnee County Court today to obstructing an apprehension and having stolen property. Authorities say that he was the man who helped Ross Lane get away from Topeka on a stolen motorcycle after Lane admits he shot and killed TPD Corporal Jason Harwood September 7th of 2014. There was a jury trial for Rydens set for February. The Shawnee County DA's office says Rydens would face a sentence of up to 17 months in prison. A status hearing for John Booker Jr., the man accused of plotting to blow up a bomb at Fort Riley, has been delayed. Again, Booker Jr. was set to be in federal court today, but court records show that's been pushed back another month till December 9th. Hearings last August and September were also delayed. Booker was arrested last April at Fort Riley as authorities say he was trying to arm what he believed was a 1,000-pound bomb inside a van near the post.
Shawnee County will get some help paying for a new aquatic center for Southwest Topeka. The county is getting a check presented from Midwest Health today, donated $1 million. In return, Midwest Health receives naming rights. Founder Jim Klossman says Midwest Health has been part of the community for the past 40 years and is excited to bring a facility for thousands of families to enjoy.
But the two main centerpiece projects that came out of the master plan, number one was Dornwood Park enhancements with the ball diamonds, and then the other centerpiece was the aquatic park in the southwest. And the main reason this came up was to balance Parks and Rec assets within our community.
Officials say the new aquatic center at 21st and Uris should be complete around Memorial Day. The new Willard Bridge project has a final budget of more than $24.7 million. Public Works Director Tom Block telling commissioners today that with the uncertainty of a federal grant out of the way, they were able to come up with the final construction cost plan. He says it means the county can begin taking bids to avoid any delays and keep costs down. Block says construction is on schedule to begin January 25th.
We want to give you the comments again, as several of you have asked about this, and we want to remind you KU is playing Fort Hays State tomorrow. The game will not be on 13, none of them this season. KU's athletic department signed an agreement with Cox Cable to air the games in Northeast Kansas this season, so they're going all cable this year, and we are not an affiliate of the Jayhawks network. So that means WIBW-TV doesn't have access to air any of those games. The next game, that's on Cox Cable 22 tomorrow night. Kansas National Guard members get a big gift. See who it's from coming up on 13 News.
Plus, we go along with Guard members on a deployment to Guam, and it's no vacation. Why the tiny island territory is important to you. Next.
You're watching 13 News at 6 with Melissa Bruner and Ralph Hipp. 13 News, Kansas News Leader. You're watching 13 News, Kansas News Leader.
A communications company is showing its commitment to the armed forces with a donation to the Kansas National Guard Foundation.
And that tops our Veteran Salute Week on 13 News. AT&T has presented the check for $15,000, the gift to Governor Brownback and Adjutant General Major General Lee Taffanelli today at the Capitol. The foundation works to enhance programs to support and educate and train Kansas National Guard military families.
We hear so much about the war on terror focused on the Middle East. You might wonder what a tiny island in the Pacific has to do with the world's overall security and why the Kansas National Guard is in the middle of it. Chief photojournalist Doug Brown and I were along last week as members of the 190th Air Refueling Wing deployed to Guam and learned how the American territory is a focal point of modern military strategy. The island of Guam is all of 212 square miles, but it's home to arguably one of the world's most diverse landing strips at Andersen Air Force Base.
The basic mission is to receive and employ combat power. You'll find everything from helicopters all the way to B-52 bombers and everything in between. We have tanker aircraft, we have lots of cargo airplanes.
When you see Guam's beautiful scenic shoreline, you might think this is an assignment where our airmen and women just come to kick back and relax. But Andersen actually has a very serious strategic mission.
This is one of the few locations, and I would argue the only location, where over U.S. sovereign territory we can do air operations, surface operations either on the land or in the water, and subsurface operations concurrently.
Air Force Colonel Samuel White, a native of Kansas City, Missouri, is the Operations Group Commander at Andersen. He says the base is a crucial staging area for humanitarian and disaster relief missions in the Asia-Pacific region. It stretches from Australia to Alaska and Diego Garcia to Hawaii. It includes nations like the Philippines, North and South Korea, Japan, and China. Within that region, the U.S. has 5 bilateral treaty agreements.
It's not just about deterring adversaries, but it's also about assuring our alliances.
Among those allies are emerging threats. North Korea's forays into weapons testing are well documented, and China is flexing its muscle as well. For example, they've floated man-made islands in the Pacific, which recent images show may be capable of landing aircraft. It's why Andersen is key in what the U.S. military is calling the Asia-Pacific rebalance, tipping our forces to maintain a more sustainable presence in the area. Construction is underway to bring Marines to Guam from Okinawa, Japan, the first new U.S. Marine base built since 1944. Work also continues to modernize the hangars and other Navy and Air Force facilities on Andersen.
How we structure our force, Andersen has to be part of that equation.
But monitoring those threats and maintaining alliances couldn't be done without mid-air refueling.
The vastness of the Pacific, the tyranny of distance that we call it, we would not be able to get that B-52 to the areas that we need to get to without the tankers.
That's where the National Guard and groups like Topeka's 190th Air Refueling Wing come in. They know that now, more than ever, this is no vacation assignment.
We need to know what's happening around the world, and so making sure that our folks have that awareness, that helps them understand that the job that they do here is critically important.
Important not just for world security, but for your bottom line, because the Pacific isn't empty.
It is the highway upon which much of the world's commerce, the items you see at the store, travels.
With the economic input and the increase, that needs to be underpinned by the security aspect of it.
Colonel White knows the 190th very well. He often flew into Forbes during his pilot training at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. So what does a B-52 look like airborne from 30 feet away? We find out when we fly along on one of the 190th assignments in Guam tonight on our news at 10. A lot of very dedicated men and women in our Kansas National Guard who are there serving right now, and we wish them the best. Very smart. Very dedicated, very knowledgeable, and very willing to show all of you what they do when they deploy.
And it's great. Guam should not be a forgotten island.
Not at all. Not at all. Very important.
That's great.
I can tell you this as well. It was very hot and humid in Guam, so the fall temps that we're seeing here in Kansas today feel wonderful.
And how long will that stick around? Maybe for the holiday or big weather changes on the way for 11/11. Jeremy details the storm chances next.
This is your 13 weather forecast with Jeremy Goodwin.
No hazardous weather expected tonight across the area. Tomorrow looks fine as well. Be careful on the roads on Wednesday, but tomorrow, sunshine, high temperatures in the 60s, winds out of the south 15 to 25 miles per hour. Your People's Insurance Group Road Risk Index tomorrow, green car with the calm conditions. Winds gusting 15 to 25, but sunshine and really no road weather hazards. As we look at the Parish Hotels camera from Huntoon Hill, looking out, and the highways are just fine tonight. Again, we're expecting to see those storms arriving Wednesday and probably going to be very windy for several hours on Wednesday, Veterans Day. And our temperature today was well above average, 64. The average would be 58. Winds right now from the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. That should stick for much of the night, and temperatures remain in the upper 40s and low 50s. We were above average, and temperatures still warmer than typical for this time of the evening and this time of the year. We're already seeing snow in parts of the Rocky Mountains, and the low pressure area itself really showing up as an upper level feature now, but you can see precipitation in parts of California. That is the storm system coming our way for the middle of the week, Wednesday, Veterans Day, and it should show up as a cold front and very strong winds after some severe weather possibilities in the morning here. The afternoon just should be breezy throughout much of the day. Western Kansas could see snow. Right now, temperatures not scary across the heartland in the mid-50s, but here comes our storm. Tuesday, again, no problem. South winds 10, 25 miles per hour. Wednesday morning is our highest risk of seeing severe weather in eastern Kansas. Here it is in Supercast, stopping at about 7 a.m. Of course, the kids won't be at the bus stop then. They'll have the day off from school for Veterans Day. But south winds and then a southwest wind right there. That's the prefrontal trough, if you will. But that feature is going to get nasty, probably from Kansas City over to St. Louis in the afternoon. We may see a severe storm or two in the morning on Wednesday, and the computer projections are really holding to that, keeping the severe weather risk for us in the morning, and then east to Missouri into parts of Arkansas could be in the afternoon. The highest risk of severe weather right there from St. Louis down to Little Rock. For us, the severe weather risk mainly in the morning, but in the afternoon, even behind the severe weather storms, we'll have a wind of 30 to 45 miles per hour sticking around for several hours, right into the afternoon and evening on Wednesday, Veterans Day. So anything you're doing outside for the afternoon, evening, even if we don't see the severe weather, we are going to see a strong wind. And then look at the snow in northwest Kansas Wednesday, even in the late morning and early afternoon. The snow won't make it over here, but the cool down will. So 42 tonight, tomorrow a calm, sunny day with highs in the mid-60s. And then Wednesday, we'll be looking at a chance of storms, especially in the morning, and then just windy all afternoon long. The weekend coming up, highs in the 60s and lows in the 30s.
That's a nice rebound.
Yeah, Wednesday, I'm telling you, even if those severe weather storms developed east of us, still very breezy all day long. 40 mile per hour wind gusts all day.
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy.
Right.
Okay. One of the newest Kansas City Chiefs, he's sure making a big impact, and we'll talk about that next in our Minute with Mitch.
Plus, a former Jayhawk could be on the sidelines against the Chiefs this weekend. Hear why next in sports.
13 Sports with Jonathan Deutsch.
Hello everyone. The Kansas City Chiefs avoided a loss this week, but then again they didn't play. One of the biggest additions this season has been wide receiver Jeremy Maclin, and he's the focus of this week's Minute with Mitch.
Chiefs fans are finding out what Mizzou fans knew long ago. Wide receiver Jeremy Maclin is a stud, a very talented player who's highly competitive and is a leader in the locker room. I wish we'd have had this guy 5 years ago. In fact, the wide receiver position for the Chiefs could have used a guy like Maclin decades ago. The Chiefs are only one of 3 NFL teams in history whose career receiving yards leader is not a wide receiver. The other 2 are Cleveland and San Diego. Tight end Tony Gonzalez is the Chiefs' all-time receiver. Contrast that to this week's opponent, the Denver Broncos, who've had wide receiver stars for years. Rod Smith, Demaryius Thomas, even in the old school days, Lionel Taylor. It's good to have Jeremy Maclin in a Chiefs uniform. Now it's time to find another 1, 2, or 3 just like him on this Minute with Mitch. The Minute with Mitch is brought to you by Hy-Vee, proud sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Former Kansas Jayhawk Aqib Talib will be doing the exact same thing you and I will this Sunday. He'll be sitting at home on his couch watching football on TV. The Denver Broncos cornerback was suspended for 1 game without pay following this incident in last night's 27-24 loss to the Indianapolis Colts. Talib put his fingers in the face mask of tight end Dwayne Allen and poked him in the eye near the end of the game. Talib will appeal the suspension, but if it's upheld, according to ESPN, it will cost him 1 game check, which is worth more than $320,000. Should the suspension be upheld, he will not be playing against the Kansas City Chiefs in their next game. The Mizzou football team will resume normal activities after Tim Wolf, the president of the UM system, resigned this morning. The team effectively went on strike Sunday as head coach Gary Pinkel tweeted that the team stands behind the 30 or so athletes who announced they'd be going on strike until Wolf's removal. There were questions about whether or not the team would play this coming Saturday against BYU at Arrowhead. The Tigers did not practice yesterday. They did not practice today, though Monday is usually a scheduled off day. The team, though, will be playing this upcoming Saturday at Arrowhead Stadium, which saves the university $1 million had the Tigers forfeited the game. It's been kind of a crazy week in sports. We'll send it back over to you guys.
Thank you. Now, the Chiefs don't play at Arrowhead Sunday. They can tear that up a little bit. The Chiefs are at Denver for a 3:25 game Sunday, and that'll be right here on CBS.
We'll check what the weather has in store for the rest of your week with Jeremy.
This is your 13 weather forecast.
Dry tonight and then a chance of storms on Wednesday for Veterans Day. Here's what we have out there tonight. 42 degrees, partly cloudy to mostly clear. Temperatures remain above freezing. 67 tomorrow, south winds at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Wednesday, we have a risk of severe storms in the morning and then windy all day with winds gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour all afternoon and evening. Watch out for the low on Thursday night down in the 30s. And then this weekend, highs near 62 to 63 and sunshine with morning lows in the 30s as well.
Melissa, how long from here to Hawaii?
We estimate from here to Hawaii is about 3,800 miles, another 3,800 miles from Honolulu to Guam. Then we flew the mission with them where they refueled a B-52, which you will see tonight on 13 News at 10 o'clock. All told, since last Tuesday, we estimate roughly about 17,000 flying miles that we went with the 190th on. Okay. And again, gracious hosts, we look forward to sharing their story. You'll see more of it tonight on 13 News at 10.
You will. Right now, we'll get you ready for Wheel of Fortune and Supergirl, and Melissa and I will be here with you at 10, and we'd love to see you then. Bye-bye.
Get the latest news, weather, and sports at WIBW.com or follow WIBW on Twitter, Facebook, and our mobile app. WIBW-TV is proud to be named the 2015 Heartland Regional Emmy Award winner for Evening Newscast.